of the most important topics for a Bharatanatyam student is Rangapravesham or Arangetram. I often get asked, what is the difference between Rangapravesham and Arangetram? There's no difference. Absolutely no difference. Rangapravesham is a term in Sanskritam or Sanskrit, and Arangetram is a Tamil word. Both denote the same thing. Rangam or Arangam. Rangam in Sanskritam, Arangam in Tamil, meaning stage or platform. Pravesham is entering, Etram means getting on, going up, getting on stage, getting on platform. So it is exactly the same. When we base all our performing arts, including Bharatanatyam, on treatises or books like Natya Shastra and all that, which are all Sanskritam, I feel Rangapravesham is an apt representation of the recital. I'm not saying Arangetram is wrong, it's totally correct. That is a Tamil word. So we can use both words, no problem. We are using Sanskritam, which is all over Bharat. So I prefer Rangapravesham for official printing and all that. Otherwise, we can always say Arangetram in Tamil, like in Kerala, where I belong to. We say Arangetram, which is just a variation of Arangetram in Tamil. So regional differences are there. The bottom line is whether it is Rangapravesham or Arangetram or Arangetam, it's all the same. It is the introduction of the dancer to a stage, to a platform where she is getting ready to go to the next stage. It is not the end point. It is not the the end of her learning. I have heard so many times people saying, "Oh, my daughter completed Bharatanatyam." There is no way you can complete Bharatanatyam, and that too with the first recital of your life. So in Kerala and many other places, in olden days, if we perform a 3-dance recital, for example, there is a recital of the teacher, of the guru, at a temple like Guruvayur temple or any temple for that matter, and you perform 3 out of those dances at the temple first time, you call it Arangetram or Arangetam. Why? Because that is the first time you are performing 3 dances in a group or solo or both, and you are ready to take up more challenges. So that is a Arangetram. But in Tamil Nadu, I believe for at least many decades, it became prevalent that it is a full-fledged recital, which means maybe 6 or 7 dances are required to call it a full recital, basic recital. Only when you achieve that, it is called an Arangetram. So that is why the Arangetram term became more common than the Rangapravesham, because Tamil Nadu is the place of origin for Bharatanatyam. The fact that Bharatanatyam got its name only in the 1930s, like just under 100 years, it has had this name. Before that it was Sadir or Sadiratam, because it was done in temples and maybe courts also, like King's Court and all. So it got the name from the Kalakshetra founder director, respected Sreedevi Nair. So it is because of efforts like hers that Bharatanatyam definitely got literally a platform on the world stage of dancing. From the temple art, it became a performing art on stage. It is no small thing. It is a huge feat for such a beautiful performing art form or a classical dance form like Bharatanatyam. So we owe it to many people, including Srimati Rukmini Nair, that we are able to learn, teach, enjoy, get amazed by the millions of dancers and practitioners in this art form called Bharatanatyam. And it is befitting the dance name Bharatanatyam, Bhava, Raga, Tala, and it becomes Natyam. It is beautiful and befitting for such a art form. So why do we need to do a Rangapravesham or an Arangetram? Like I said, in olden days it was not necessary, and still it's not necessary to do a Rangapravesham or Arangetram, because over a period of time, for example, I did my first dance in Bharatanatyam at the age of 9 in full costume. Like that, many dancers all over the world keep dancing semi-classical to full classical and in full costume, and it is a natural process and it goes lifelong. Just like I said, it is not something that you can complete when you are 14, 16, 18, 21 years old. It is a process that goes lifelong. Even after a lifespan of 70, 80 years, there are many legends who keep saying, no, I have more to learn. I'm not done. I'm not done learning about this art form. That is the reality. They are just being truly honest when they say that. That is how much is there to learn. It's an ocean of knowledge just in one art form. So if you think of any classical dance form, that for that matter, like Kathakali or Kathak or Odissi, I think it's the same in all those classical dance forms, because these are subjects you learn, not just few dances. I want to make a few points in a series. I thought in this particular one I will just give an introduction to Rangapravesham or Arangetram. Like I said before, it is not a necessity. It is a feather in a dancer's cap, especially a student's cap. For a teacher like me, definitely it is a blessing that students choose to do this event. They want to pursue, they want to dedicate that much time, they want to spend their energy and commitment to this art form and say that, okay, I can do a full recital. So I believe in today's day and age, this is 2025, it is actually a wonderful thing that a student is getting an opportunity to explore Bharatanatyam before they go off to college, especially in a country like this, US, where once they go off to college, they are hardly home. They can hardly learn many things at home or near home. Or they must be extremely dedicated to the art form that they pursue even when they are in college. That's a rarity. Even though some of my students do, it is still very, very rare. And I also had the fortune of judging a classical circuit dance competition where I noticed so many dancers, all of them happened to be female, were so dedicated, and they choreographed and did a thematic presentation, and they just nailed it. I am so amazed and so blown away actually by their commitment, because they just didn't do it all together. They just did it in complete sync, to the point we found it very hard to judge who won. But later, of course, with some things coming to the fore, we were able to figure out, okay, who wins the first, who wins the second, and all that. So what I'm saying is, it is possible for sure that if you are dedicated and if you learn from a good guru, and your parents are also supportive, not to discourage you that, oh, okay, you did your Arangetram, okay, now just focus on your studies, go for a good career, forget about that. If that kind of discouraging parenting is not there, I believe many of the Rangapravesham, Arangetram students will continue their dancing for a long time. And you know what happens when they reach their middle age and later? They have a hobby. They have something that they can go to when they are bored, when they are stressed out, When they feel low, there is something that they can just enjoy doing. You don't need 100 people, 200 people, 50 people to enjoy your dance. You can just dance in your basement. You can just dance bringing joy to yourself. So it becomes one of those things, the go-to, when you get a little older and feel joy. Just even to watch an art form on YouTube or live, they become lifelong art enthusiasts. And that is so important that it keeps them happy. Many parents do not realize this aspect. So what does a Rangapravesham or Arangetram entail? You are able to do a full-fledged recital with orchestra or without orchestra. Both have different pluses and minuses that I'll come to later. It teaches a student how to stay committed, and that's a life skill. It is not just for Bharatanatyam. When she learns how to pursue a thing with its ups and downs, sometimes it could get really hard, just like in life. You tell yourself, no, I will do this, I can do this, and keep at it. That is one of the best things for an artist and a human being, not to give up. So a student learns how to stay committed, how to be determined, and focus on the goal. Second thing is, of course, the physical strength. The first comes from the mental strength that I can do it, I will do it. The physical strength gets a big boost with this 1 year long process where you are toning your body, you are practicing, you are perfecting each and every nuance, that your physique gets better and better. Of course, it depends on the effort you put in for quality practice as much as quantity practice. If you practice 2 hours every day and you are not bending your knees, you are not putting your focus and just practicing 2 hours looking at the clock, that is not doing anything to you. And if you are not listening to the teacher when she is correcting you and keeping the same B minus, C minus quality of sagging hands or not bending knees, it doesn't do anything. It ends up with a below average, mediocre recital. And then, even then, the audience or anyone watching it will come and say, wow, what a wonderful job. But in the back of their minds, they know clearly there is something missing, there's something lacking. So that is definitely a bad way to do a recital. Another thing that a student and teacher must pay attention is the detailing. What I mean is, if the student doesn't know every word or every sentence in a varnam, the lyrical part, there is no point. You are not being true to the art form. You are just making an artificial presentation of the varnam without knowing the meaning. Because most of the dances, the varnam especially, are in Tamil or Telugu. And some kirtanams are used, they are all in Sanskritam or Sanskrit. So it is not necessary that you speak that language, you know that language, but it's very important the teacher knows or tries to find the meaning of every part and instills that, conveys that, teaches that to the student. So that when she is emoting, for example, there is a Muruga Varnam or Subramanian, and the heroine is like yearning for his love and separated from him and all. So she must understand what that particular word means. that action must completely translate that from that Tamil or Telugu to the language of Bharatanatyam. So for that, the student inevitably must know the meaning of every lyrical part. So this is called detailing. The same goes for Adavas. There are so many ways I have noticed live and on YouTube where in the Rangapravesham or Arangetram, it is basic Tirumana Adava, like Ditite, we say, or Tadinginato or Tarikatatom, any of those Adavas, the basic, very mediocre, below average execution due to the choreography. That is not for the student to correct, that is for the teacher to correct. So these are the things which maybe a layman might not understand, but as dance practitioners, Bharatanatyam practitioners and teachers like us, we know what are the gray areas or the how does perfection happen. We know. Maybe a common man, maybe a person who is not well versed in Talam or Carnatic music or Hindustani or Bharatanatyam or classical dance will not understand that. For a person like me, I would understand what is A grade Bharatanatyam, what is not A grade Bharatanatyam. So, being the first recital, I'm not saying a 16-year-old or a 14 or 18-year-old will do exactly like a 40-year-old middle-aged performer. But the quality of teaching will make sure that she is at least doing above average and a good recital which is close to a professional recital. Not exactly, but close to a professional recital where she gets to try out different things, different tala pattern or rhythm pattern, and she gets to do different types of expressions. So these are the basic things of a Rangapravesham. And how many of the students who really do this recital or Rangapravesham actually do all the things I said? I doubt. And then only it becomes a show off of how much money I have for the parents, how much money we spend on the costume, on the decor. None of that really matters. If you do a good recital in a temple auditorium and give a prasadam after that without lunch or dinner, it is a good recital. It's a good Rangapravesham or Arangetram. Food and the paraphernalia do not make the Rangapravesham or Arangetram the best. What a Rangapravesham means is the student is getting ready to take up the next level of recital performance. That is the first step towards being a performer in a recital format. I believe at this point that is the best way a Bharatanatyam student must take it forward. Not just as a checklist, oh I did that, but instead that checklist must also help her or him to take it forward and feel, he or she should feel, I must take this forward, I must dance more often, I must not leave it, I must pursue this lifelong and keep it as my passion and joy forever. That is what Rangapravesham. I will talk about the expense, I will talk about many other details of this topic, Rangapravesham, Arangetram and Bharatanatyam in general in the next few videos. Thank you so much for watching.